to Clarissa and Coco because I think their presentations really tie into my presentation. And secondly, I want to say that I know race is a sensitive topic to many and it can offend people, but I just want, I want to present my topic, especially since I researched a lot about this, like in an open way. So, okay, so how I got my white question basically, how it all began is you see all over media the American dream portrayed as a white, happy family that lives in a big house and everything. And we all want this, especially since we're all minorities and our parents have immigrated here. Our grandparents, anybody that we know. But why is it that in order to achieve this, and according to society, we have to assimilate to the white culture? That in order to be as happy as them and successful as them, we have to go with what the white culture says. That's right. Okay, so then that evolved into my how question, to how can one prevent complete assimilation to the American culture? And this ties into Coco's because individualism, to be different is okay. How is it that, but why is it that we have to conform to society, but we can be successful in our own ways, especially as minorities? We have our unique qualities. Okay, so why is this important to me? And growing up, you open social studies textbooks and you see white presidents, white leaders, just white praise. But you don't really acknowledge it until you kind of grow older, especially in high school. And when you do acknowledge it, you see that media connects to being successful and to being white. So if you're white, you have a higher chance to be successful. And then we kind of see that America says that it has all these cultures and that's what makes us unique. But we still feel that white race is still dominated in America, and that's why it's important. Because culture is really important to me. But in order to establish where this whole white privilege came from, I did a lot of research, and W.E.B. Du Bois explained that in the Civil War era, there was a psychological wage where even at one point, the poor white people felt superior over poor black people, even if they were on the same level. And that defined it as a white skin privilege. So those who were lighter skin felt superior over the ones who had darker skin. And as time goes on, it's a lot of media that affects it because media still, like when movies first came out, media portrayed African Americans as being lazy, foolish, and they portrayed themselves as being superior over them. And if media has enough influence over someone to lower their self-esteem now, what makes you think that at that time it didn't have enough influence to change one's mindset? So that kind of branded into their mindset that the whites were superior. And then Clarissa by microaggression, because now racism isn't as explicit. It has its different forms, but it's still present. Especially, so you have microaggressions, and the picture on your right, there's a young Hispanic lady who they ask her if she's even legal. And on your left, they ask a young Asian lady that she's Chinese, right? And with my research, I found that these effects can often be traumatic and they can resent their own culture. So resenting their own culture makes them assimilate to this white culture and try to be like the white culture without acknowledging that they have their unique qualities. And they want this privilege and this praise just like what they feel that white Americans have as portrayed in the media, but because they don't want to feel alienated. Okay, so then I researched adapting and assimilating because there's a fine line between adapting and assimilating. I know coming to America is hard, like you don't want to be super different, but you don't have to be super like everyone else. Like you don't want to be just clones of the same person. So according to this article, immigrants come to terms with the loss of their own culture and begin to see the cost of becoming too influenced by the American way. And these costs can cause severe loss of identity, homesickness, and even mental instability. And also touching on the fact that adaptability is way different. It lets one have like accept their own culture without actually like leaving who they are behind. And then there's people who are actually slowly breaking the cycle of not trying to be like what society thinks is right or what society portrays as right. Nellie Y. McKay, she was one of the first, like one of the few people to actually publish her literature into the literary canon. And I know many of us, like, especially junior year, we were taught that literary canon was dominated by white males. So on top of it, she was a woman. So, and then Noble Johnson was the first person to create their own company that portrayed blacks as real people with real lives. So that was really important. And then I interviewed a young man named Renee, and he attends University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana. He's a director of the Hispanic Engineers, and he said something that like really influenced me because he's like, yeah, the world's not going to be dominated by white people anymore, and that I thought that was really important. And he said that he knew that he would be successful as a Hispanic person, as a Hispanic young man, that wasn't going to influence him. And this white society that we had wasn't going to determine if he was going to be successful or not. Okay, and then I have my solution. My solutions, and basically, okay. So I kind of want to focus on media that displays the success of minorities, that displays the success of everyone, and to adapt, not assimilate, because you can use your unique qualities to be successful here. You don't have, society doesn't have to determine your path, the path that you're going to take. And then to destroy the pride that one culture is deemed exotic over the other, because that's what makes America unique, or that's what's supposed to make America unique. And then that's basically how I ended my senior research paper, with the quote was, rather than repeating history, it is beneficial to create a new mindset, since it is important to not merely tolerate people who are different than you, but begin to truly honor, serve, and love them.